Harry and Meghan's greedy plans for 2021 are in ruins. Their escape from the royal family was meant to be a fresh start, but 2021 is shaping up to be a disastrous year for the Sussexes. Meghan has been banned from the UK forever. Harry has no say in this at all. I believe it was a government official that informed the Queen that she cannot have Markle back on British shores. Remember, the monarch does not sit alone by itself. Although non-political, it is also deeply intertwined with the UK Parliament. Let's be honest, no one has really gotten the 2021 they wanted, have they? And that includes Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of hypocrisy. Scratch the surface and this year has been a bust for the now California-based duo. Ignore the family feuding that has dominated this year's Sussex-related news, and aside from the joyful arrival of the couple's second child, Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor, even Sherlock Holmes would find it tough to unearth a major win for the royal defectors. In February, Harry decided to break his silence and undertake his first TV interview since absconding from royal life. An intelligent sit-down to coolly answer questions. Sorry, for some head-scratching reason, someone on the Duke and Duchess's payroll had the nifty idea that the best way to really launch the sixth in line to the throne onto the U.S. market was to shove him on top of a sightseeing bus in L.A., with the TV host James Corden for a dignity-defying outing. At least it made history. As far as I'm aware, never before has there been recorded footage of a member of the House of Windsor asking if he could pop into a stranger's house and use their loo. Come March, and while Oprah-mediated offensive might have shaken the palace's foundations and rattled the Queen's feelings, that barrage only led to the royal family's approval rating shooting up. Since then, the public support in the UK has only seemed to coalesce behind Her Majesty and the monarchy in the face of Harry and Meghan's newfound predilection for primetime venting. The treachery that Markle displayed in particular in the Oprah interview sealed her fate. She is not a British citizen and therefore has no legal right to benefit from Britain's laws despite marrying a British royal prince. The errant son and grandson, in my opinion, has demonstrated that he's not well, therefore is no threat to the monarchy. And if anything, the duo's behavior has unwittingly strengthened it. The saying, doing nothing can be perceived as action, and it has worked, because Harry and Meghan have been unable to control their petulance and rage at not being successful in America, thus trying to make the royal family responsible for their failings. One good thing now is Buckingham Palace has decided to challenge any lies they put in the press. This has now halted their onslaught somewhat. I think the Queen can afford to be patient. The royal family has been told what kind of mental illnesses the duo possesses and is acting accordingly. In April, when Prince Philip finally went off to join his raffish Thursday Club chums at the big bar in the sky, Harry's return to Britain seemed to resemble a live-action version of Frozen, only a tad icier. The ongoing feud between he and his brother, Prince William, was such that their cousin, Peter Phillips, was reportedly strategically deployed to walk between them as part of the funeral procession. Meghan, by this point heavily pregnant, was unable to attend the service on medical grounds. However, an updated version of the Sussex biography, Finding Freedom, has claimed that several members of the royal family were, quote, understood to have been quietly pleased that Meghan could not join her husband at the funeral because they didn't want a circus, or, as one senior royal source said, the Duchess creating a spectacle. The Queen made a mistake in embracing Meghan, a mistake that may have been averted if they had senior advisors that reflected the population. This, in and of itself, would have meant that Meghan would not have been able to infiltrate the royal family so easily. Harry's threat of exposing them if the Queen didn't agree to the marriage could have been handled in the way that would have not tarnished the royal family, because the advisors would have known how to handle a cunning woman who looks the way and calls the cards to get her way. With a family like this, who needs enemies? Many saw that Harry remained firmly lodged in the headlines as he continued to paint the direst of portraits of his royal upbringing, accusing the royal family of total neglect and declaring that he would never be bullied into silence again. While in some quarters these revelations earned him sympathy, others pointed out that denouncing the royal family only a month after Philip's death was a lowly move. According to Lady C, whom I trust as a source, there was no way Markle would have been allowed to marry Harry into the family had it not been for this question. Harry threatened to expose them if they refused permission. Ironic, considering that's exactly what he's done since. He should have done the noble thing, left the royal family and married her, except we all knew she'd have run a mile. Even in June, when the Sussexes welcomed their little girl, Lilibet, her controversial choice of name led to a week's worth of front-page news in the UK and saw the litigious duo call in their lawyers to try and push back against claims made by the BBC that they had not asked the Queen about using her childhood nickname for their daughter. The bad news just kept on coming when in August, the great and good gathered in Martha's Vineyard to celebrate President Barack Obama's 60th birthday. Not there, Montecito's most famous new residents. At the beginning of this month, the British media regulator Ofcom cleared the controversial TV host Piers Morgan over negative comments that he'd made about Meghan in the wake of the Oprah interview. The BBC reports the Duchess herself filed complaints with both Ofcom and the TV network. Despite their rumored $100 million plus Netflix deal hitting the 1-year mark next week, the couple has not released a single piece of content. The only shows that they have announced are a documentary about Harry's charity, Invictus, and an animated series called Pearl, which according to The Telegraph has been in the pipeline since 2018. Sounds about exciting as a gluten-free bran muffin. And what about their charity work? In May, the charity concert that they co-chaired to help with global access to the COVID vaccine drew a very meager audience of only 1.3 million. Meanwhile, most people would be hard-pressed to name one major undertaking their R12 Foundation has embarked upon. Today, they are far from the global leaders rightfully taking their place on the world stage that we all thought they would be when they sashayed off into the Californian sunset. To be fair, that might still eventuate. The rampant global march of the Delta variant has put paid to even the entire world's optimistic notions about this year. While the UK might have been in a huffy turned on the couple's post-Megxit, what is curious is that they have not exactly set the United States on fire. Polling released last week found that the majority of Americans surveyed, 52.3%, the very market they are seemingly intent on cracking, agreed that the Duke and Duchess of Hypocrisy should stay out of publicly commenting on world affairs. It wasn't meant to be this way. This year promised to be the biggest and brightest yet for Harry and Meghan. Unshackled from the palace, unfettered from all that pesky hierarchy protocol, and the ludicrous demand to own the nude hose, they seemed poised for 12 months of world conquering. Having notched up a rumored $180 million in deals, they could now guarantee that they could keep the lights on and would get their annual invitations to the Oscars. But all that promise has not panned out. Instead, what has defined this year, so far at least, is the couple solidifying their status as palace pariahs while failing to make much of any sort of mark on the philanthropic landscape. Let's be generous here and work on the assumption that part of it comes down to the fact that Meghan was pregnant for the first 6 months of 2021. Fine, but we've passed the 18-month mark since Megxit and the window for the Sussexes to truly capitalize on the positive momentum and public support, especially in the U.S., which followed their daring exit from royal life, it's closing. They are still two of the most famous and talked about people on the planet, but they have yet to truly establish themselves as consequential players on the global stage. This may very well still come to pass, and after all, the Delta variant has played havoc with all our plans. But how many chances will they get to really establish themselves as consequential figures, rather than just as tabloid stalwarts?